Welcome back to another episode of Hello Ladies, where feminism meets pro wrestling. We have a special edition, I guess, edition we'll call it, today as there is a ever so special guest. Priscilla, here comes the pain. You're on mute. Okay. Um, Priscilla and I are going to be talking about our Wrestlemania experience the whole weekend.
Yes. Oh wow, what an amazing weekend it was too. I still have like a high from this past weekend.
Yeah, Priscilla and I, so we traveled separately there because we're from different areas. But leaving, we both had the same experience of like when we were in the cars driving away, both of us started crying.
Yes.
All of the emotions and starting to like process it. Oh, so good.
Right? It's like I know I was there when I was there, but it was the drive home that made me realize like, holy shit, I went to WrestleMania.
Yeah, and we saw like arguably the best WrestleMania, period.
Yes. Yes, we did. Like it's funny because I became like a wrestling snob for a while, and I was like, back in my day, wrestling was good. And like, I always said, like, there's not going to be a WrestleMania that could even come close to like WrestleMania 17 or WrestleMania 18. But no, WrestleMania 40 in a lot of ways, I liked better than 17 and 18, which were my standards for like the past 10 or so years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people were in that boat. Um, Now we arrived to Philly on Saturday morning, and we headed straight to an indie show, GCW's, Effie's Big Gay Brunch. It was Priscilla's very first indie show. Oh, and just a quick heads up, we're going to be talking about Tyler through this, and we're talking about Tyler, Priscilla's fiance, not Tyler Wrestles, who listens to the podcast. Um,
Oh, geez.
yeah, but we went right to Effie's Big Gay Brunch. Um, what were what were your initial thoughts like when we got there?
So first I thought, I'm very glad that, LGBT wrestlers have a safe space to be out and about. I immediately thought of Orlando Jordan and, how TNA like made being bisexual like his entire gimmick, which, speaking as a queer person myself, it's like, yeah, we want acceptance, but, we don't want you to make it our entire personality. So, it's just nice to see that there's people who could be out and they could be themselves, but they could be their entire selves and not just their orientation or their gender identity. And that was the first thought. For second thoughts, I was kind of like, wow, like this ring is actually a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. um and I thought to myself, like, it's a really nice setup. Like, I know there's people who, you know, they don't like to go to indie shows. They feel like, it's beneath going to like WWE or AEW or whatnot. But I felt as though it was really well done. I felt as though, everyone brought their A game and it did not disappoint whatsoever.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I had never been to a GCW show. They're typically very bloody, and as we all know, I do not do well with blood. But Effie's Big Gay Brunch, I was promised was not like this. They're like that. So, and I will say, like when looking over the itinerary for WrestleMania, there was so much happening. When I initially looked, like I couldn't even look at the list because it was so long. I just like shut down. It was overload. And eventually, like I was like, okay, we'll be there Saturday morning. We'll be able to fit this in before WrestleMania. I know this will be good. That car, like the card wasn't even announced before the tickets were sold out for the big gay brunch. So um the only person we knew that would be there for sure was Effie, and that was it. So um and I really liked how they did it because you had to purchase seats, like a seat itself. It wasn't just general admission. And they taped our names to the chairs, so we didn't have to like elbow our way through and fight, which was good.
Honestly, that was a nice touch because then it's not, "Hey, you're in my seat." "No, no, I'm not." And it was just like, "No, this literally has my name on it. It's mine. Thank you very much."
Hmm.
Um, I have to say I like you just feel more intimate at an indie show, like, you're right up near the ring versus WrestleMania. It's like, you're like, "Oh, I'm so far away." But with the indie show, I felt like, I was in the ring with them, and I just loved that it wasn't any less skill. They're just as on par with people in the big leagues, and they really engaged the crowd. It wasn't just, I'm wrestling, like, all the taunting and, appealing to the crowd. I thought that was a nice touch, and I feel like, you know, I would go back next year.
Hmm. Yeah, it was that's something I definitely like about indie is like that personal interaction. Um I also, and I feel like I'm jinxing myself by saying this, but everyone always talks about wrestling shows, and especially indie shows, about how like people aren't wearing deodorant and like it's hot and it's sweaty. That was not our experience there. Someone literally smelled like a cinnamon roll. I don't know who it is. I think someone was wearing lotion, but like it was, I wanted a cinnamon roll after that. Like, and maybe it has to do with that crowd, like the community that comes out for that are all like everyone washes their asses. There's no need for dude wipes. So
Oh, the dude wipes chant. Oh god.
I
Oh
will
man.
I will never forget dude wipes as long as I live. Oh.
I like that someone sitting next to us pointed out that they're advertising dude wipes versus the Uso match, and their father was known for sticking his ass in people's faces.
Yep. Yep. I was like, huh, yeah, that's very true. Hmm. Oh, Scarlett is joining us now too. The pets were very upset that I was gone, so I can't be too mad
Mm.
that she has joined the pod right now. But yeah, the show was great. I think, and I got really excited because I can't remember his name, but there was a guy from my local indie there. Um which was exciting, but also seeing um what people will know as the fashion police, Tyler Breeze and Fandango, now Dirty Dango, uh mixing it up with Bussy, Effie, and Allie Ketch was fantastic. I feel like I've now seen everything in wrestling because that match had Effie and Dirty Dango like doing this like attraction thing in the beginning, and then Dirty Dango gave Alley Catch a lap dance in the middle of the ring. There was a make them kiss chant between the fashion police, and then Bussy wound up kissing. So um it was it was quite entertaining.
Yes. And I would say, like, that very first match, it was a fatal four-way. I forgot the names of the wrestlers, but oh my goodness, like, that is the definition of an opener. Like, and
Hmm.
I'll just be upfront, I didn't know what to expect. I have watched videos on TikTok and YouTube of people making fun of what you see at indie wrestling shows where, the wrestling is either like just very gimmicky in a way where, like, it just breaks kayfabe because it's just so unbelievable, or the other side where it might as well be like ECW back in the day where it's like, wow, is that person going to get up or are they okay?
Hmm.
But the first match, I felt like it was the perfect balance of like technique and gimmick and taunting. And, I just thought to myself, like, you know, I don't know like what the other indies are doing, but GCW is amazing and I feel like they set the standard.
Yeah. And I I feel like also with WrestleMania weekend, you're getting like the best people from the indies. Because I will okay, down Scarlet. And that's not to say like the other like two shows that I've seen that weren't at WrestleMania weekend, everyone was like there was still a lot of talent. I still absolutely love it. I'm not saying anything bad about that, but usually or at least on the one, the opener, like you could tell that like the person only had like a few matches maybe under their belt. But I mean, it's it was considered a dark match, the one I'm thinking of. So, that's somewhat
Oh.
expected. My goodness. Another cat walked in the room, so Scarlett just literally hissed and ran away.
I'm just loving how they're climbing all over you and like going up on your neck.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Scarlett just becomes a scarf. I really could have used her at WrestleMania. Um,
Mm,
um, yeah. So Saturday, after GCW, we all there's plenty of parking at GCW, but then we had to get to the hotel to park. Um,
mm.
and that was a whole thing. Um,
Oh.
I got into the lot that they said we could use, and like technically it was a parking space I was in that they put me in, but if
Mm.
I had needed to get back out, I wouldn't have been able to. So I had to like grab my stuff and then jump into Priscilla and Tyler's car as we went on an adventure to find parking, where we went to the wrong hotel and valet parked there. Um, and then found out that was the hotel the wrestlers were staying at, and they were not letting us in. Uh, So, but thankfully our hotel was like basically right next door. So,
Yeah, and the good thing about it is like so from what I understand, because they were both Marriott's, it wasn't a big deal that we parked at the wrong hotel. And to be honest, I don't think they cared because both hotels are sold out. So like when I was looking for rooms to book, I originally wanted to book that one because I'm bougie. I just wanted like the fanciest, flyest hotel. And they were sold out, and I was like, of course, the one that I like the best is sold out, so I just chose the Residence Inn because, I figured, it's still by Marriott, so it's gonna still be nice. And it was,
and we were in
the
a
only
safe
thing,
area.
yeah, we were in a safe area. The only thing was, oh my goodness, like that one elevator with the dip before you enter. I don't know how many times I nearly died.
Oh, and of course, the complete lack of housekeeping that we received, along with the
Uh,
ridiculous spite towels.
Yeah, so we had asked for a couple of towels and they shorted us on the amount that we asked for. So we just asked like, "Hey, can we get like one extra because we originally asked for 3 and we only got 2." And then we ended up getting like 9 towels in total and it's like, "Okay, I guess we're just a nuisance then. Give us all the towels."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we had also asked for they didn't give us any washcloths, and the response was we don't have any more. And we're like, perhaps if you had done some housekeeping, you would have been able to wash some. Um,
Imagine that.
and they came back 20 minutes later and handed Tyler this gigantic stack of washcloths.
I think you said one for each butt cheek.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, definitely dude wipe comments were made after that. I'm like, well, I'll be washing our asses real well. Um, getting to WrestleMania, thankfully our hotel was like real close to public transit. Um, and pro tip, and it was something that, I had been told beforehand, if you're going to a large event like WrestleMania, download your tickets to your phone beforehand because the Wi-Fi is not going to be necessarily working. Same thing with Google Maps. Google Maps was being used by everyone.
Uh,
So at times, like it was basically you could see it just like spinning us around, being like, I don't know where you are and I don't know where we're going. Google was drunk.
yeah, we did 30,000 steps, about 30,000 steps on Saturday. I'm sure half of those was just us backtracking because the thing is, you would walk a couple of blocks and then Google would be like, oh, oops, sorry, wrong direction, tee hee.
Yeah, thankfully it wasn't raining. Um,
Ugh,
and it wasn't on the ground in the sunshine. It wasn't cold night one, day one. Um, we will get to what happened at night. But yeah. Our train too also, like there were so many trains ahead of ours, we got stopped in like on the way there, so we wound up waiting. We to the point where when we got to WrestleMania, we were afraid we were going to miss Rhea and Becky's entrances. So we power
yeah,
walk slash ran from the train station all the way to the stadium, which at that point they were just like letting people like there was no bag check. There was nothing. Like,
right.
like I brought in a water bottle with water in it and they were like, "Yeah, go." Um and like then had to we were in the 200s, so it was all the way up. And I would say like our seats were not bad. Like we had full view of the ring. Um
Mhm.
the worst part though, night one was all that wind. Um
Oh God, yeah.
we were like I was wearing a hoodie and my like a winter coat, but that was not enough. Like both Priscilla and I lost feeling in our fingers, and at one point, like just went to the bathroom to run hot water over them. Um,
Yeah.
it was intense, like that wind. And I think also the wind, because I had one of my friends messaged me and were like, "Is the crowd dead in Philly?" And I was like, "No, we're really loud." And they said like, "Oh, because it's not coming through, like it's not translating." I was like, maybe because it's windy and it's an open air stadium, so it's carrying it away, was my only thought. I don't know.
Had to be because I have an obsession with going on Reddit and reading, the worst wrestling opinions ever. And people were saying like, "Wow, this crowd sucks. They're not reacting to anything." And I'm thinking to myself like, "No, we were screaming like throughout the Rhea versus Becky match. There were like at least four different chants. It's just that, I'll be real, the moment that wind blew, we all shut up."
Yeah, when the wind got like crazy, and also people weren't clapping whenever the wind picked up because again,
Right.
ants. Um, so they were selling blankets at the arena, but they definitely sold out. Um, because I kept saying like I wish they had WrestleMania Snuggies, and I saw someone with a WrestleMania blanket, and I considered beating the child and taking it from them, but I didn't. Because I'm a responsible adult.
You see, that's another thing. And when we went to the WWE store in the morning, they did not have any blankets that day, but they had them Sunday.
Yeah. Well, we didn't go in the morning on Saturday. We went in the afternoon because we went right before closing,
Oh,
which I
that's
think
oh, that's probably why.
is why we got boned on that. Because they had
Mm,
like nothing. Not nothing. They had smalls and triple X in some things. Like that was it. If you want a medium, large, or extra large, you can stick that up your ass. You're not getting it. So oh,
I mean, I'm
it's
proud of them for the size inclusivity. It's just that, I was looking at the 3X, like, maybe I could use this as a nightshirt because I can't use it as a t-shirt. But, again, kudos to WWE for being size inclusive. a lot of places don't go up to 3x, so that was nice of them to do.
Yes, yes. Um, and thankfully they did restock most things the following day.
Mhm.
Um, and because we went at 9 a.m. to the Superstore, WWE World the next
Mhm.
day,
We
because
learned our lesson.
we needed blankets. And I'm not going to just buy a blanket. I'm at WrestleMania. I'm buying a WrestleMania blanket, which is the softest thing I've ever felt in my life. Um, so not for night one, I think I I'm trying I think my favorite match probably was Rhea versus Becky from night one. The entrances I loved. I learned
Mhm.
that Motionless in White is a Scranton band, which representing hometown. Woo! Um, so and I forget because obviously you can't hear commentary. So I think I saw it on Instagram. Someone had said like that it had been mentioned. So
Yes, it was someone we knew from college, I believe.
oh yeah, forget I mentioned that. Nobody likes this person. Um, but yeah, the match was excellent. People were going ham for Rhea versus
Yes.
Becky. I mean, mommy versus the man, who wouldn't? Um, and I did think that it was the right call having Rhea retain. I do love that Rhea and skipping ahead, Damian Priest, she
Mhm.
retained and he got his championship, and that they're besties, and what the Terror Twins with uh yes, 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 yes.
Speaking of hometown heroes, just finding out that Damian Priest is from the Bronx, that made me happy because I don't think we've ever had a champion from the Bronx.
I don't know how you didn't know he was from the Bronx before, but also, well, I mean, I can't remember. They usually say he's from the Bronx or from Puerto Rico.
Mm.
I can't remember. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I found out you told me, and then I looked on IG and everyone, well, like everyone in the Bronx was like losing it because they were like a Puerto Rican from man from the Bronx is champion. And my friends were like, yeah, we're going crazy right now. And I just saw a bunch of like statuses saying Wepa, and I was like, okay, it's lit.
Yeah. Um, oh, so good. We will
Yes,
we
amazing.
we will jump into that when we get to night two.
Yes.
Um, what was your favorite match of night one?
Hmm. Oh God, that is hard to say because I feel like Rhea versus Becky was an amazing opener. I also liked the women's tag match, Damage Control versus, Jade and Naomi and Bianca. And then, I love the main event, Seth
Mm-hmm.
and Cody versus The Rock and Roman. And that's the thing. Those, first of all matches were amazing, but those are the three that I was like most excited for. And then I'm gonna say that in terms of like, just the battle itself, I want to give that to Rhea and Becky. I felt like that was a very hard hitting match. I felt like the things they did were unique. I actually have it recorded. It's this one sequence where Becky has Rhea in the disarmor, and then like Rhea picks her up and has Becky on her shoulders, and then they tumble out of the ring, and like a cat, Rhea lands on her feet, and then she kind of just does like this, back body drop. And I just, the fact that that was all in like 30 seconds or less, and they just executed that perfectly. I feel like that was like the sequence of the night. But then in terms of storytelling, just having The Rock put Cody away and just building up that tension like, oh no, Cody lost, so now he has to face bloodline rules. And, like me and other people, we were calling that match WWE Infinity War, and that's what it felt like. It's like, crap, the villains won, and now the hero has this uphill impossible battle. Like, there's just no way Cody's gonna win now. And that's what it left you feeling like. And, again, the storytelling in that match, it reminded me of yesteryears. It was perfect.
Yes, yeah, and The Rock's entrance with like the flaming Brahma bull was fantastic. Um, and you knew since The Rock was there was going to be something extra special. And I mean, we could see them setting it up. So, um, it was just overall uh, a complete show, like above and beyond. And I, the Infinity Wars thing definitely fits. When Cody was the one that was pinned, I was just like, oh, he's definitely winning tomorrow. Like, I felt it in my soul that he had been before, but that's like any doubts I might have had were gone. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that's happening. It's going down.
Right. And I just love that instead of The Rock doing what we're used to him doing during the People's Elbow, he, just throws up the bloodline signal and then he drops the elbow on Cody, kind of as if to say, like, the bloodline is undefeatable. And, you're right. Like, at that point, you do know that Cody's winning because, that's just how stories go. But it's just that, like, in that moment, you're kind of like deflated, like, especially when Cody sat up and made the same face that he made from WrestleMania 39. And it's like
Hmm.
really just beating into your head that Cody keeps losing and he keeps getting disappointed and doubting himself. And I'm like, wow, like everyone's putting in so much effort. I was blown away by that.
Yeah. Yeah. The entire thing, the entire card top to bottom, both nights, everyone worked their asses off. Um, like you could feel the love that everyone has for this business, which was great. Um, when it, um, as far as the women's tag match, again, amazing entrances. Um,
Hmm.
we so fun thing, if you were in that crowd when Bianca, Jade, and Naomi came up, their outfits were so bright, like how the lights hit them, that it was a little blinding actually. I couldn't, like, as they were coming up and then coming down, you couldn't exactly see what they were wearing. They just looked like goddesses, like with how it
Right.
reflected off of them, like ethereal.
I loved that. I also loved that Damage Control had the geishas and the sakura flowers. That was beautiful. And, like, I just thought that, one thing that I really watch WrestleMania for is the entrances. It's kind of like, I watched the Super Bowl for halftime show. So, night one, everybody delivered. You mentioned Rhea had Motionless in White. I believe Becky came out in kind of like this, I want to say it was like a feather type of gown.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that like cape or whatever.
Yeah, it was like, you could see it all the way from where it was very elegant. I gotta always give a shout out to Rey Mysterio because I feel like when he does an entrance, he does an entrance. And it was just nice to have Andrade come out with the mask on as well.
Hmm.
And I believe that was the match that Jason Kelsey was involved with.
Yep, yep. Yeah, we got special interference. Um
Yes.
it was Taylor Swift's brother-in-law, or kind of brother-in-law, showed up, which was cool. Yeah, sending in Eagles players like that who are so beloved, people went nuts, nuts. Especially since he just retired.
I'm
The
trying to think.
the Rey Mysterio match, that one, I was just so happy, like watching Andrade,
Mhm.
Everyone was so great, but I was just so happy to see him back in a WWE ring because we saw him in his last AEW match at World's End. Like we saw him live there, and then to see him in it was a different energy he had. I mean, yes, it is WrestleMania, so we were also like experiencing